Welcome to Even Tacos Fall Apart, a podcast where we get real and talk about the messy side of mental health. Today's episode is all about being neurospicy, video games, and online connections. If you've ever felt like your brain works a little differently, or maybe you've been told you think too much, feel too much, or struggle to focus in the way the world expects, you are not alone. Living with ADHD, autism, or any mix of neurodivergence isn't just about challenges. It's about how your brain processes the world and how you navigate it in ways that might not look typical, but are still valid and valuable. Being neurospicy means finding the tools, communities, and outlets that let you be yourself without constantly masking or apologizing. For a lot of us, that shows up in gaming. Video games give structure when life feels chaotic. They offer focus when our thoughts are scattered. And they create spaces where we can connect with other people without the constant pressure of in-person interactions. Those online connections are real. They can feel safe, supportive, and honest in ways that some in-person friendships don't always reach. If you've ever sat in a Discord call late at night, just existing in the same space with friends while everyone's playing, you know that those moments matter. The world is quick to dismiss video games as a distraction or even as a problem. But for neurodivergent folks, and honestly for many of us, they're a lifeline. They're a way to meet people, to form communities, and to feel understood without having to force yourself into spaces that drain you. That's what we're talking about in today's episode with my guest, Lise, also known as Goblin. Before we jump into the conversation, I want to take a moment and talk about the month we're heading into. September can be tough on mental health for a lot of reasons. Summer is winding down, kids are back to school, routines are shifting, and for some people, that's a huge relief. For others, it's stressful. The days are also starting to get shorter, and seasonal affective symptoms may start creeping in for folks who deal with that. September is also National Suicide Prevention Month, which is an important reminder to check in on your mental health and to check in on the people you care about. This is a month when it's really easy to push yourself too hard trying to get everything back on track. But it's also a month to remind yourself that rest is not wasted time. You're not falling behind if you need to slow down. Whether it's making space for therapy, gaming with friends, journaling, or just letting yourself breathe for an hour, those things matter. All right, let's get into it. In this episode, I sit down and talk about what it means to be neurospicy, how gaming can be a space for real connection, and why those friends formed online are just as important as the ones you make in person. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Mental Health Monday here on Even Tacos Fall Apart. I'm really excited for this conversation because it's going to be super relevant to me, and we've talked about this in different ways a couple of times, and I'm excited to bring it back because it has been a little while since we talked about it. But we are going to be talking about video games, being neurospicy, and online connections. And y'all know that's something that I am really passionate about. So I'm getting ready to dig in. If you are new here, if you are tuning in for this conversation, we do answer questions while we're live. Feel free to pop them into the chat, whether you are here on Twitch or on YouTube. Pop those into the chat and we'll make sure that we get them addressed while we are here together today. But I am so excited to be joined by Lise Keeney, also known as Goblin. Thank you so much for coming on here and joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited. A huge fan.
Yeah. So Lise is a brand strategist and PR pro who has helped launch everything from dating apps to science videos that blew up the internet. She was actually Hinge's first publicist back when they had only $15,000 left to spend on PR. And she's helped scrappy startups get the spotlight they deserve. And now she is building something of her own, and that's Goblins. And I know some of you are tuning in and you're already familiar with it. We're going to dig into it a little bit tonight. And that is a new kind of social platform where people can make real friends by voice chatting while they play video games. She is all about big creativity, underdog stories, and finding the connection in unexpected places. And today, like I said, we are talking about video games, connections, and what it means to navigate all of that as someone who's neurospicy. So again, Lise, thank you so much just for taking the time to join us here today.
Of course. I'm so excited to be here with you and your nerd rope necklaces.
Yeah, we were talking about that ahead of time. She said it looks like a nerd rip, and I went, no, it's not. Sometimes I wish it was. I'm not a huge sweets person, but you know what? Nerds are one of the things that it's like they're not super sweet, and they're really, really good. They give you
I
that
feel like
little
someone needs to send you one.
Yeah, they give you yeah, that'd be great. They give you that little bit of, like, the tartness on it, and, oh, it's so good, and you get the sweetness for sure. I just posted your social links, so if anyone is looking to connect with Lise, feel free to pop through to those, and you know what I always say, engagement is what really matters, so make sure you like a couple posts, leave a comment on a couple of posts, and help her get that recognition that she really, really deserves. So I want to kind of dig in, but first I want to know a little bit about you. So can you share what led you to become a brand strategist and PR expert?
Of course. So this is probably the most goblin answer ever. When I was 16, I was in the back of my dad's car going to fire cadets, and I was taking a 17 magazine career quiz. It was like one of those, did you answer mostly A's? Did you answer mostly
Yes.
C's? I think mine was C's. Um, and it said I should either be a zookeeper, which they also had the salary bands. So for that one, I thought too much shit, too little pay. And the
True.
other ones were right, exactly. And the other ones were event planner and PR exec. And so sort of stopped my research at, well, the Hills is on and the girls are interning at a PR firm. And that was it.
Nice. I like it. It's weird. Some people, their career paths are like, I knew what I wanted to do from this very moment. And then some people, you get through their career paths and they're like, I don't know, I'm just here. Like here I am, and this is what I do. And how did I get here? I don't know.
Yes, I respect folks that just sort of follow serendipity, and they're just sort of like, well, wherever it takes me, I'm happy. I'm going to go with the flow.
Yeah, absolutely. What is one video game world you could totally live in if you could?
I thought about this for a while. I would have to say Palia.
Ooh,
It's
okay.
just right, like it's so cozy. You don't really have to worry about anything. I would probably stay within the town, go to the underwater or like the, under the mountain casino,
Mm-hmm.
probably hang there for a little bit. So, yeah, I would have to say maybe it's a boring answer, but final answer.
I think that's fine. Like, listen, I was just, my partner and I were just having this conversation the other day about if you could get like $10 million, but you had to survive for a year in a movie franchise, what would it be? And we're like, I don't know, a Disney movie, like something easy, something that I'm going to definitely survive in. Can I just get like a slice of life movie that's easy to live in, not things like Lord of the Rings where they're always fighting?
I agree. Like, let's pick one that your nervous system would be mostly like happy in.
Yeah, yeah. I think my kids could definitely live in Animal Crossing. They both love that game very much, and that would be a very safe as their mother, I'm like, "Pick the safe choice, please. That'd be great."
Yes, I love that. And what's yours? I don't know if your listeners have heard yours. That's
Yeah, so,
but
I mean, I think one video game or that I would live in lately, it's been, like, Pal World, which is wonderful and, not super high risk. I could just stay away from the high-risk areas and hang out with all the little sheep and the chickens and, all the bigger creatures and everything. I think that would be a lot of fun. I generally like, the game that I grew up in, basically, was RuneScape, so I would go live in there for sure.
I love that so much. I'm friendly with the founder of Club Penguin, Lance. And so I feel like Club Penguin would also be a really good response,
Yeah, yeah, that's an old school one.
right? Throwing it back.
Yep, absolutely. I love this comment. Both of your presence, kindness, and commitment to building a safe space for the community mean a lot. It's easy to forget how powerful video games can be for mental health. They give us connection, release, purpose, and even healing. Absolutely. You're a shining example of how gaming can lift people up. Keep doing what you're doing. It matters more than you know. Punk rock star, thank you so much for saying that. And I absolutely agree. Could not agree more. Video games, It's funny because a lot of folks will try to do these studies and show how video games are bad for you, and it's like, then they just keep proving that they're not. Like,
I
"Oops,
mean, look, even
accidentally."
right. Also, if you drink too much water, water can also be bad for you,
Yes,
right?
true.
So, like, I feel like there's always, the side where you're like, "Oh, that's bad for you."
Yeah.
Everything in moderation,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, you can definitely get too lost into video games. That's for sure. And I did go through a period in my life, and those who know my story really well kind of know this about me, but I went through a little bit of a period in my life where it was like, all right, this is too much. This is too much for me. I'm spending too much mental energy that I need to be spending elsewhere in my life. And I had to kind of take a step back from that game in particular. And that game was New World. So and it's a great game, and I'll still open it up every now and then, and I'll be like, "Oh, let's kinda get in here," and I'll hear all the little sounds, and it's like a really nice hit of nostalgia, and then I'm like, "Alright, that's enough. Goodbye."
I love that. I'm not allowed to play World of Warcraft, by myself anymore, for that exact reason, because one day, extremely hungover on New Year's Eve day, we were like, "Let's just see why World of Warcraft is so popular." That's like casually trying an extremely hard drug, you know? Just 6 months, I was lying to all my real life friends about where I was.
That's funny. I actually just started playing World of Warcraft for the first time. So I that's never been my game. My game, like I said, was RuneScape. A few years later came World of Warcraft, and that was my sister's game. And so she's been into it for a really long time. Well, now my partner is into World of Warcraft. And so I was like, okay, my sister's been trying to get me to try it for years and years and years. And then she installed it on my computer probably, I don't know, like 6 months before he and I started dating. And now he does like all of his raids and stuff and everything. And I'm like, okay, I'll check it out for my sister, right?
I love that so much.
Yeah, it's great. I've been enjoying it. It's very even though I never played it, it's very nostalgic. That's so weird to me. It's like, wow, this is a time in games that I can relate to without ever having played this game.
I
Oh.
think that's one of the strong sort of pulls to it.
Yes. Yep. Yep. For sure. Skizzers Wolf says I'd probably live in the Final Fantasy world. That's a good one. I also played Final Fantasy. The first one that was online, that was one of mine for sure. Totally Not a Blueberry says, wow, sucks you in. Yes, most definitely. Hey, Rose, how are you today? Welcome, welcome, welcome. And there's Penguin with a little blip. Absolutely. So I'm going to ask this question, and it's not related to the topic. And I like to kind of explain that every now and then. I don't always explain that, but this topic comes up a lot on these Mental Health Mondays, and it seems a little unrelated. But the reality is that it all goes back to the kind of mind. So, do you have a true crime story that fascinates you?
I do, and I thought really hard about this, because I was like, everyone that knows me probably thinks I'm gonna, like, whip out, like, a murder one, but I'm not. I'm actually going to go with the 2009, heist of the British Natural History Museum. It was an American college student that broke in and stole 299 super rare birds, so that he could offload the feathers onto the fly fishing black market, because a lot of the lures can't authentically be created without these like super rare bird feathers. And so it's just a fascinating case. There's a book called The Feather Thief about it, and I read it a couple years ago, and it is just like mind blowing, because then the college student like turned around, and with the money that he got from selling these extremely rare bird feathers, he bought a flute.
A flute? Just like a plain flute? Was it a fancy flute?
It must have been, but it was just like the whole story is just incomprehensibly weird. Um, and I mean, it was gutting for the rare
Yeah.
bird community, because those were the only birds that had been collected from these like rare islands, and now they are no more. So fascinating.
Wow. That's what was the name of the book?
The Feather Thief?
Feather Thief. Okay, I'm gonna look that one up real quick because that sounds interesting. I don't usually read. So the Feather Thief, Beauty Obsession, and the Natural History Heist of the Century. Okay. All right. That sounds interesting enough to hold my attention.
It's extremely, extremely, extremely good. Like, I highly, highly recommend that because just the twists and the turns, and there's history folded in there, but
Yeah.
it's sort of like you're accidentally learning about a lot of stuff in this fascinating story.
I wonder if they've done like a documentary on it or anything or any sort of, they've got all these shows about all of these different historical events. I wonder if that's been done. I'll have to find that out at some point.
That's actually such a good shout. I'm curious about that as well.
Yeah, we'll have to look that up and figure that out for sure. We've got a couple of questions in the chat. Crochet by Rose says, "Do you crochet, knit, diamond paint, wood burn, or do any sort of crafts?"
I do. I started off with crocheting. I got super into cross stitch during COVID.
Oh, I love
Um,
that.
ah, Sent kits out to all my friends as well once I got onto the bug. And most recently, welding. I've
Ooh,
also done a little bit of woodwork. Yeah. But welding, I'm super good at TIG, horrible at MIG.
okay. I have no idea what that means.
It's just like one's sort of melting the two pieces together, and then the other is sort of like a very cool hot glue gun situation. The hot glue gun one,
Interesting.
I'm extremely bad. Skizzers, who's a goblin, is a professional welder. So shout out to Skizzers there.
Oh, nice. Oh, yep. And there's Skizzers. Says TIG is arc brazing, and the other is wire feed welding. Okay. All right. Got it. That's pretty cool. Did you hear about the drama in the cross stitch community with there was one lady who had all of these different patterns and she would sell them, and then she started selling them but they were the incorrect pattern, so she would sell them but they would have like a line that wasn't correct on it, and so they'd get through all these projects and they'd do all these projects and they'd have one line that didn't look quite how it was supposed to be, and it was so that she could drive some sort of other business to back to her website and try to get that traffic up and all of that. It was huge drama in that community fairly recently, within the past 6 months.
Amazing. I love niche drama. I do
Yes.
write a newsletter called The Rec List, and basically I just cover like weekly Fire Fest level chaos.
I love
And
that.
so that one's right up my alley. I'm going to look that up after this.
Yeah. Yeah, yes. The cross stitch community drama was fantastic. And I don't cross stitch, and I can't remember how I came across that. I mean, I'm always on Reddit, so it was somewhere on Reddit talking about it, but yeah, I don't even know how it came up in my feed, but there it was.
Love that. Amazing. Okay. I'm making a note to myself to look up this drama.
Yeah, yeah, it's really interesting, and if it is very niche, but you brought up cross stitching, so
The best.
have you done any crocheting recently?
I haven't. I have been super into cross stitching. I am trying to finish up a project for a friend's wedding that was in October. And so not actually doing super well on that one either. Not break it up.
Art takes time. It's okay.
It's true. I am trying to get more into reading. So I am doing a second
Ooh,
read of The Alchemist.
okay. That book has been recommended to me. Happy Little Brains, who has been on this show before, has recommended that book 3 or 4 times to me. So let me know whenever you finish. Or you said you're rereading it? So it was good enough to read a second time.
It was good enough that I closed the book and I was like, I think my next tattoo has to be an alchemist themed tattoo.
Oh, okay. I like that. That's a good recommendation then. Like that's pretty strong. It's still on my want to read. I just looked it up on Goodreads. It's still there. It's still sitting there going, yeah, here it is on your list.
I admittedly put it off because I did not like the cover.
Okay. The orange and yellow and just not not doing it for you?
Wasn't No, I think it reminded me a little too much of like high school reading.
Oh, like a required reading book. Mhm.
Yeah.
I could see that.
But highly, highly recommend.
Yeah, I could see that. I want to go back and read this comment also from Punk Rock Star. As someone with ADHD, video games have been a lifeline for me. They give me a space to hyper focus in a healthy way. And that's something that I genuinely need. It's not just fun, it's therapeutic. But I'll be honest, sometimes it's hard for me to come out of that hyper focus. It's like my brain finally feels clear and engaged. It's tough to explain that to people who don't live it. I fully get what you're saying because I have absolutely been there myself. So yeah, it can be hard. But it is also something that provides a really good escape for some folks. And it just like reading, just like cross stitch, just like welding, just like any of these hobbies that we have that we pick up, in some way they are a little bit therapeutic, right? Like that's why we do them, because we enjoy them, because our brains enjoy them. And so, yeah, I think that's absolutely relatable for sure. Now, Lise, you've described yourself as neurospicy. That was in your bio. What does that mean for you?
So I am an ADHD gal. Definitely knew I was ADHD, diagnosed when I was 28. And then as I began building Goblins, I was like, huh, everyone who is a huge fan of Goblins seems to be on the spectrum. Um, and they are extremely excited about this platform. A lot of them are diagnosed. And I was like, so what are the chances that I have just accidentally built this platform? Folks with autism and have me not be. And that was sort of a question mark for the last couple of years. And then when I came around to building Goblins, I was like, oh yeah, no, that checks out. So I think what that means to me is a lot of times your biggest strength is also sort of your biggest weakness.
Mm,
And it's really interesting. And I think a lot of people can resonate with that, where it's like, oh, this does a lot of great things for me in the world, right? You might be really creative. You might come up with ideas that no one else comes up with. But then that same brain is sort of the one that's like, nope, we don't want to focus on those ideas. We don't want to, follow through on some of those creative projects. And so I think that's really difficult
hmm
and can be really frustrating for folks that are neurodivergent or neurospicy or neurosparkly, whatever your preferred term is.
I like neurosparkly. I haven't heard that one, but as a glitter gal, that suits me very well. I've always got glitter. You can't see it, but right above this shelf, there's a whole shelf of just glitter. It's little jars, and then over here I've got all my glitter nail polishes. So you can't see it, but there's glitter all around me right now.
I respect that because my intrusive thoughts would be like, "What if we just opened it? What if we just opened all the jars?"
Listen, I've opened all the jars.
Good.
There is glitter. You can't enter my house without getting a little glitter on you, generally speaking. So, it's something that my two boys lament every now and then.
I love this. I love that. That's when you know you're doing something right.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. What's something you wish more people understood about neurodivergence, especially in adulthood?
I think that one's a really interesting question, and I thought a lot about it. And I think the thing I wish people could sort of better empathize with is what it feels like to be neurodivergent. I think the thing that comes to mind is depression, right? I think that is really similar to losing a parent, right? You can't imagine how that feels to be in
Yeah.
that brain, to be in that, moment unless you have personally dealt with it. So I think, one of my last partners, I remember he turned to me and he said, sometimes when I feel symptoms of depression, I go for a run and I feel better. And I was like, "Huh?" Because it felt very, like, dismissive in
Mhm.
terms of him being like, "Hey, I know you're going through an episode. Maybe you should just go for a run." And I think I turned to him and I was like, "That's like saying when I feel symptoms of famine, I just eat a snack." Like, that is so wildly just, like, it just feels very, myopic, but you also can't really get mad because, like, unless you've gone through it, it's really hard to understand. So I think that maybe being able to create, um, I don't know, some sort of, room or headset that people could wear to be depressed for 5 minutes, um, maybe we wrap them in sandbags or something like that. But I think that is a really hard feeling, and my mom went through something similar too, where she was like she never quite understood how I was feeling
Yeah.
until a couple weeks ago where she was like, "I don't know what's going on with me. I have trouble getting out of bed in the morning." It took everything in me to not be like, I told you so."
Yeah.
Um, but I think that
Yeah. It can be really hard. I mean, if somebody has a broken arm, you're not gonna say, "Oh, just, go for a walk and you'll feel better." But that is with mental health and mental illness, that is definitely something that you hear a lot. "Oh, have you tried getting some more sunshine?" Yeah, you just need some vitamin D. Like, you just need to just go for a walk in the sunshine. You'll get vitamin D and exercise at the same time. Like, that's all you need, right? Have you tried XYZ?
have you tried making your bed in the morning?
Yeah. And it can be really hard also, though, to understand that if this is coming from someone who maybe has been through depression, they could just be trying to relate their experience to you and say, look, here's something that worked for me. I've had to be really careful with my own kids and saying, like, okay, you're having a hard time. Here's what worked for me versus, oh, have you tried this? Because it's so easy to say, have you tried this? Have you taken this step? Have you done this tick box yet? Because I'm a list person. I'm like, let's go down the list and see what we can do. And so it can be really difficult to perceive as someone trying to be genuinely helpful, or are they trying to just get you to stop talking about it? Because I think a lot of the time it's just
100%.
trying to get you to stop talking about it because it's uncomfortable.
100%. And I think I've been trying to journal about my founder experience because I think founding a company is a little bit like childbirth. When you get on the other side, you sort of forget the trauma and you forget how awful
Yeah.
the being in the trenches was. And sometimes there are days where I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've worm mode or I've God mode, right? And if I'm in God mode, I try sort of reminding and like writing a little testimonial for worm lease to then go and look back on. But it's very interesting to sort of see where you're almost coming from two different brains.
Hmm.
Because even when you're in worm mode, you're reading this stuff and you're like, how is this the same person? Right. So I think that's a really fascinating look at how uh, your brain can really easily trick you.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is. I love this comment from Skizzers also, who says, have you tried turning it off and back on again? And the reason that I love this so much is that I am an IT black hole. I break everything I touch. I frequently have problems that no one knows of. And so I'll contact my IT department. That's always their first, have you restarted it? I'm like, and I put in my tickets, I have done all the normal IT steps. I know what they are. I'm not an idiot. This is a zebra problem. Don't come to me with a saddle trying to get on a horse because that's not this problem. And it's like, even though I put that in my tickets, that's what they come back with. Have you tried turning it on and off again? And it is very much the same because you can say to your mom, you can say to your partner, you can say, to your kids, you can say to your doctor, even sometimes, look, I've done all the things. But there's still that chance they're going to go through and say, well, have you tried this? And it's something really simple. And you're like, it doesn't work for me. It's really hard. And if you're not comfortable communicating that with someone, it's even harder. So yeah. Yep, absolutely. They're following a script and they don't like getting off that script. And I immediately take them off that script. You're very right. Oh, very, very true. How has being neurodivergent shaped how you approach work and relationships or even creativity?
Yeah, I think for a long time working corporate, and especially, the PR and communication space, it's very cookie cutter,
Mm.
particularly if you work in for certain companies, right? Um, and so sort of trying to always be that like star-shaped shape, trying to fit in this like round circle, right? Or the square. And I think since um figuring out, okay, let me lean into my strengths, right? Let me carve out a path that plays to my strengths, right? And plays to the things I love. I don't feel like I'm fighting against the current anymore or
Mm.
trying to sort of, navigate corporate politics. Because I'm carving out my own path. And I definitely recognize there is privilege to being able to do this. But I think like being able to sort of have a North Star in regards to, what does happiness look like for me? Um, and for me, it was never working for anyone ever again. As sort of, being feral, and that is not a good fit with corporate
Mhm.
work. So I think it's really just being able to lean into your strengths and create a life that's complementary to how your brain works because you're going to be so much happier. And I definitely don't agree with the like do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life because I think that's like setting people up wildly for disappointment. But your life does become easier once you sort of start to be like, what brings me happiness and what can I align myself with there?
Yeah. The comment about do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life is definitely, at least for me, not true. But well, or you could do what you love and maybe it won't feel like work, but generally you're not going to get paid for the things that really, truly, never, ever, one single time feel like work.
Yes, exactly. And I think the doing what you love gets you through the hard
Mm-hmm.
parts,
Yeah.
right? Because even when you're like on your knees and you're like, this is hard, is it worth continuing to keep going? The alternative is, what am I gonna quit and work for someone else? No. Um, put on your big girl pants and keep going. Because I think like at the end of the day, as long as you're doing something you love, that the shiny spots are gonna out outweigh the negative things.
Yeah. Has your neurodivergence, has it approached or has it impacted how you approach relationships at all?
It has, and let me, refer to my notes on this one. Definitely, yeah, leaning into that one as well and being really upfront with myself in terms of, like, what are the things that I need to work on. Um how does that show up in my relationships, right? In terms of being communicative with a partner. There's black cat energy and there's golden retriever energy. I give off golden retriever energy, but I think like I'm more black cat. So sometimes being vocal about what my needs are, right? I like my space. So it's sort of like if I have a partner that's extremely overbearing, I'm like, if you don't go away, how will I miss you? Um, and so sort of getting comfortable with advocating for myself because I definitely have people pleasing tendencies and sort of being like, nope, it's okay to put your feelings first because otherwise, like the relationship is not long for this world. If you keep letting yourself, sort of take the backseat to everyone else's. So yeah, I think it's being really thoughtful about how you're showing up, how that's impacting your partner, and then asking for what you need.
Yeah, just that intentionality of it.
Exactly.
Rose says, "Have you ever thought of also expanding it to crafters as well?" And I'm guessing you're talking about goblins specifically. And Lise, I'll kind of let you speak to that a little bit.
I love that so much. And yes, 1000%. We also, the vision for Goblins, right, is just creating a phone book of interesting people in the world. And that could be someone who, lives in Australia, but they have these like really specific hyperfixations and they are not afraid to fly. They're like strange flag really high. And we want Goblins to be that place where you can find your other puzzle pieces. And, for those connections, right now it is meeting in game, but we do notice a lot of goblins will just hop on voice chat and parallel play, right? And that can extend to some goblins. We had one join the other day. We had a Eurovision watch party. Or was it that or a Jackbox game? We had something where the goblin jumped on and was like, I'm just going to be cross stitching or crocheting and listening to you all. So I think that's really cool. And that's exactly the future that we envision, but we don't want to try boiling the ocean to start. So by focusing on gamers, it sort of creates that really nice tight story, and then being able to expand from there.
Yeah, that's great. And it's fantastic, the parallel play kind of example of just everybody hops into a voice chat and does different things. It's really cool. It's really cool to see that happen and just to have it especially happen organically too.
Yes. Yes, and my best friend was hanging out with me this weekend, and she joined the finale, Eurovision watch party with us, and we hung up, and she was like, "That was very cool, because I feel like we just attended a party without leaving our houses."
Nice.
And I was like, "That's exactly what it is, right?" Because it's the party where you don't have to do your hair, you don't have to do your makeup, right? You don't have to be on camera. Um, and when your social battery inevitably runs out, you can just be like, "Hey, I'm gonna hop off, y'all." And you don't have to drive home, right? You don't have to make
Yep.
that awkward, like, goodbye. And so it's been really, really fun. And I do feel like, I have multiplied and amplified my friend group by, you know, hundredfold, because there are so many great goblins in the community. And shout out to all of them that are listening now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Listen, going to a party without leaving your house is the dream for some of us at
Right?
least.
Exactly.
It's like you don't have to watch if you're drinking. You don't have to watch how much you're drinking because my bed is right there. It's fine.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
and yeah, if you want to bounce, especially if there's a text chat associated with it. Like I know in our community we have a text chat, a voice associated with the voice channels, and it's like you can just be like, you don't even have to say bye in voice. You should be like, I'm bouncing by. Like it's all good. So I love that. That's great.
You could even be like, "My computer died."
Yep.
And then, like, just,
Yep.
like, come back 2
Mm-hmm.
hours later if you want.
Yeah. Absolutely. You were a part of the early PR push for Hinge also. What lessons did you take away from that experience when it comes to how people connect, how they form meaningful bonds, whether that's romantic or platonic?
Yeah, so when I, came on as Hinge's publicist, their premise was they help you meet friends of friends, right? And they use the Facebook algorithm in terms of being like, y'all have this mutual in common. And so you could ask that mutual, "Hey, what do you think of this person?" Right? But I think having worked with Hinge, and then many other dating apps since, um, I and being on them personally, I think what I've realized is human connection does not come down to algorithms, right? And whether that is those helpful algorithms, but more and more the algorithms that are destined to sort of like keep your people apart, right? Because like business wise, dating apps are not set up to introduce people successfully because that would just mean the demise of their business, right?
Yep.
And I think I look at my partners all the time and I'm like, probably would not have swiped right on you on a dating app, right? Like at first blush or at first glance, like we wouldn't have made sense together. Or, I was hungry and I didn't like the shirt that you wore in that one picture. Like that's insane.
That's so
Um,
relatable, though.
right? So I think like giving people the power back to be like, okay, let me just sort of explore, right, these connections. And on Goblins, we sort of suggest like, unless you're physically repulsed by someone, just like hang out with them. If you're looking to do the dating side of things. But we also strongly believe in the friends to more pipeline. And I think you and I were connecting about that because like there's a certain magic about that, and none of the dating apps offer that.
Yeah, yeah. There definitely is, and we were talking about this a little bit. So my current partner and I, we met sort of through my sister, sort of through Twitch, and now we game together all the time. But we very much were friends for years. We were friends for years, and it was like once we actually started dating, it felt so fast just because we knew each other already, super well, and it was just like, oh no, we're clicking on a different level, and it really is. To me, it was a much more meaningful connection because I already knew that we were gonna get along. It made things a lot easier, and he's fantastic. It's wonderful. So I am a huge fan of that pipeline for sure. Highly recommend.
Right? See, I love that so much because when you look at a romantic relationship, right? I would argue a healthy, good romantic relationship is essentially friendship, but both people want to touch each other's butts,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Like that's what it comes down to. And basically, like for dating apps to be like, do you want to touch this person's butt? and then see if there's, like, an emotional connection that
Yeah.
feels very reversed.
Mhm.
And so, like, let's get it back to basics, and I want goblins to sort of become that friend that continues to throw really cool parties, and you know that you will meet cool people through that friend. So, being able to offer people that space to sort of come in and say, I don't know if I'm looking for a romantic relationship. I'm open to it, but I'm actually just going to put that I'm looking for friends, right? And see what happens. So there's not that pressure
Yeah.
of also having to go on, dates and then
Yeah.
be like, "Ooh, do we want to keep talking romantically?" Because that's so much pressure.
Mhm. It is, it's a lot of pressure, and when you're in a video game also and in a voice chat, you mentioned earlier, like, there's no pressure to be on camera or anything like that. There's a certain freedom to that, to being able to just talk to someone without being like, "Do I look okay? Does my breath smell bad?" Like, are they having a good time? Because if they're having a good time in a game, it's not fully dependent on how are they having a good time with me. And so I think that there's a certain, even just getting to know someone on a friendship level, like, it's very much easier to do in a game, in a voice chat. It's just so much easier. There's so much less pressure, truly less pressure.
Yes. And then that way you don't have awkward silences to
Mhm.
fill. You're coming from a foundation that's more than just, oh, we are both single.
Yeah.
Because I think you certainly get to a certain age where your friends might be like, oh, I have the best person for you. And you're like, oh, cool. Like, why? Why do you feel like you should introduce us? And typically at this age, it's like, well, they're age appropriate and they are also
Yeah.
single. And I'm like, no, it's the worst setup.
Yep. Yeah. Aside from, kind of the dating app aspect and social apps and everything, what has been your personal experience building friendships or even just chosen family as a neurodivergent person?
Really good question. And I was reflecting on that a couple days ago, because I used to be a very extroverted chameleon. And I am extremely good, right, at fitting into groups. And, when I was in my college years and early 20s, what that looked like was, the party girl and the one that was super bubbly and could hang with everyone. And yes, we'll do shots of tequila. But I think you get to know people on a really surface level there, right? The commonalities that you share, they're like, oh, yeah, we like Lise because she's bubbly and, she likes to party with us and she has this quirky sense of humor. But, like, did they really know me as a person? Did we talk
Mm.
about like our favorite conspiracy theories together? No. And so I think, especially after losing my dad, I suddenly became a whole lot more introverted, and more focused on how do I create quality relationships as opposed to quantity, right? Because it's
Mm.
extremely, if you feel like someone doesn't know, that a crowd of people don't know you or the real you, it's actually lonelier to be surrounded by all of these people. But to feel like you're sort of still unknown, right? Or not seen for who you are. So I think since then have really been leaning into showing up as my most authentic self, right?
Mm.
Or otherwise known as my goblin self. And through that, I have made some really incredible friends. My friend group is certainly smaller, than it was in my early 20s, but that's also massively okay. And I think, like, seeing the ways a lot of my friends' parents, right, have embraced me in terms of being like, send you emails, we're gonna send you text messages. I'm like, it is very cool to see that chosen family come together when you are very deliberate about things.
Yeah. Go back, because now I wanna know what your favorite conspiracy theory is.
Oh, man, Avril Lavigne being replaced by Melissa, is definitely an interesting one.
Oh, I've not heard that one at all. I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah, that one's fascinating. Gosh, I love conspiracy theories. What's yours?
Oh, definitely any of the ones on, about crop circles. I love just the wild explanations that you can come up with for crop circles. But then I also love whenever they reveal whatever it is. It's like, no, it was actually a sheep on acid that was walking in circles all night. Like, whatever, you know?
Obsessed.
I can't remember what it was. There was just, I think it was in New Zealand. There was just there were some crop circles, and it was like some sort of farm animal got into something and got either really drunk or really high, and they were just walking in a circle for a while.
I'm literally writing this down. Sheep on acid,
Yeah.
because I need to look this up later.
Yeah, I wish I could remember exactly what animal, exactly where it was, but if I can find it again, I will send it to you for sure, because it's wonderful. But yeah, anything to do with aliens, and it's like, oh, the only way they could have put these giant stones here had to be aliens. It's the only explanation. And it's like, even if they come up with a more realistic answer, I still love both. I still love both options. Great. Humans figured out a way to do it through engineering that is since a lost art. Fabulous. Wonderful. Aliens did it. Fabulous. Wonderful. Equally.
We love horses and we love zebras.
Yes, for sure. Penguin Pyro says games emulate life. I play games with people I can see, oh, you love the gardening and townfolk friends. I like collecting and fighting. Knowing who you want for good team composition. Yes, for sure. So when I play 7 Days to Die, I farm. I have to have Frost or Slay or Puck or Bite. I have to have some of them to actually drag me out on the missions I'm supposed to be doing, because I will just farm all day. And it's like, well, they have to eat. They don't want to farm. I want to farm, but I also need to level my pew pew. So I go and I do all of that. And it's wonderful. It's great. It truly is a team effort for sure. Totally Not a Blueberry says crop circles. Growing up, we would make them. No, we would plant the pattern we wanted, and a week or two later than the rest of the field, so it was a different height, hoping people flying over would see them and wonder. I love that. I love that so much. Oh, that's fantastic. You are a chaos bringer, and I support you.
So if y'all have not joined Goblins yet, those Totally Not a Blueberry is a goblin. So that is the level of creativity and gentle chaos that can be found on that platform.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much.
Also, Totally Not a Blueberry, if that's not on your profile yet, please add it.
Yeah. Everyone needs to know that.
Right?
Everyone needs to know that about you, for sure. Unless it's like secret information and you plan to do it again in the near future, maybe you want to keep it hush hush. Tyrion is really wanting to get in my face today, which is fine. He's lovely and a good boy, for sure. Normally he just lays down. There's a cat camera. He just lays down over here and chills. But right now he's wanting to be in my face, which is fine. Are there ways you think that social apps could be made more inclusive, or maybe be more mindful of people who process the world a little bit differently?
Yeah, I don't necessarily know how for each of those apps,
Mm.
but I think probably a good step for them would be making sure that they have neurodivergent people on their teams.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite sure that none of the dating apps have ever talked to a single person. So that would also be an excellent start for them. But not only having those folks on the team, but also giving those folks a voice. I was talking to someone and they were mentioning they have a colorblind aunt, and they often bring games over that that claim to be colorblind friendly, and then turns out the aunt can't see them.
Oh,
So
wow.
I think, like, right, so just making sure that folks are not only plugging in from obviously an accessibility side, right, making
Hmm.
sure that the letters don't have tails on them, but from an experience side, in terms of being like, okay, what would be a more comfortable experience for users that are neurodivergent, and what do those breakdowns look like? So I think representation is super important, but again, giving those people a voice, not only just being like, oh, there's our token neurodivergent person, sitting in the corner, with it, the well-decorated cubicle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know they have the most interesting cubicle.
Yes, for sure. When I worked in an office, my desk was always the one that just had all the things on it. And it's like if somebody brought their kid to work, they would stop by my desk and be like, "What do you have?" And I'd be like, "Here you go."
Always, every single time.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that, like, if you get someone on your team as specifically for a different perspective, make sure that you're engaging them and giving them a chance to communicate in the way that they want to communicate. Because you can have someone on your team and you'd be like, oh, we went out and we got someone who has autism and we're making sure that we're making an autism friendly platform. And it's like, all right, so that person that you went and got, do you at the end of the meeting recap with them separately? Like, do you get their input? Do you give them some time to process? Do you ask them for their input instead of waiting for them to chime in? Like, all these different things. Have you asked them how they prefer to provide their input? All these different ways. Just having someone on your team doesn't necessarily mean you're including them. And so there are a couple of AI apps that are like note-taking apps, and it'll give a breakdown of how many times some people have spoken, and it'll remind you, like, while the meeting is happening, hey, don't forget to ask this person. You can set it up where it's like, don't forget to ask this person for their input. I think Fireflies is one of those there, and I don't remember. There's a couple of others as well that are making an effort to just at least provide that breakdown of so-and-so has talked 85% of this meeting. And it's like, that is a great step towards it. But just making sure that as a project lead or a manager that you are getting input in ways that make a difference to other people, it has a huge potential impact and can really, really make it can really make your effort go a long way. Instead of just having someone sitting in a chair, you're actually getting their input and everything. So my 2 cents.
Oh, I mean, even that, right? Because I wouldn't have thought in terms of the, hey, how do you ask for input, right?
Mhm.
So even this conversation in itself is such a clear indication of the magic that sort of unlocks in terms of accessibility in teams, right? So well done.
Yeah, for sure. So have you personally made deep connections or friendships through gaming, and what stood out about that to you?
I certainly have. I mean, even before starting Goblins, I had those moments where you find someone on the internet and suddenly you are planning when to meet up, right, and doing dungeon runs together, because a lot of games are more fun as co-op. And since starting Goblins as well, being able to hop on games with Goblins and being like, oh my gosh, some of these goblins know more about me than some of my real life friends, right? Because like your defenses are down. There's no pressure to be cool or put up, you know, I mean, you certainly can still have walls, but I think it's a little bit less scary to share hard things or like talk about things that you might otherwise feel more vulnerable sharing across from someone at brunch, right?
Yeah.
And it creates this much more dynamic environment to be able to have those really interesting conversations, right? I mean, not to say that like what's your favorite color is not interesting, but um, you know, it creates a really, and I think like anyone who's a gamer can probably speak to this a little bit more. It sort of, if you are playing a game that you're already comfortable in, playing a game with someone in that shared sort of comfortable virtual space really like creates so much magic in
Yeah.
terms of being able to have that relationship flourish.
Yeah, most definitely. I've got a couple of friends who I play RuneScape with, or played Rune. I don't really play it very much anymore. I was just thinking the other day, I was talking about it and saying like, I haven't played in a while. I need to just pull it up. Uh, that might have been earlier today that I was talking about it actually, but it's like I've known them for so long and they know so much about me that I can go into my DM with Fee and be like, you will not believe what so and so did or said or whatever. And she's like, tell me everything. And I can't call up my bestie that I've known since second grade in real life because she's going to go, I don't know what you're talking about, but it's so much easier to share information online. It's so much easier to stay connected all the time. Where, my bestie and I, it's like we text all the time, like that, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But we only get together every couple of months and we don't text our whole lives, where some of the folks that I game with and some of the folks that I'm with online, it's like, no, I feel connected to them almost all day.
Totally. And I think as well, I mean, you could speak to this. I am unmarried. I don't have children. And so sometimes I feel a little bit disconnected from my friends who do have babies, right?
Yeah.
If we are going to hang out, it's either I have to go to their houses, right? And then they're sort of still on parent mode, or they have to get a babysitter. But if you're like, "Hey, do you wanna meet up in a game after the kids go to bed?" That's a comfortable sort of, like, middle ground for both of us because then I'm not, having to microdose children, and they're not having to get a babysitter, right? Or, stay up significantly later because they're traveling and getting, paying the resources, both time, money, and energy to
Mhm.
come meet me somewhere. So I think, like, really digging in and being able to use those virtual spaces more even with those real life friends, really opens up a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Because as a parent, it is definitely so much more difficult to schedule. I pulled up my calendar in jujitsu the other day with one of the other jujitsu moms, and we were like, we got to get together after school ends. And we're like looking at both of our calendars, like, well, fucking never mind. Because her calendar is wild, my calendar is wild, and we'll make something work. But it's definitely just a scheduling nightmare. But the whole reason I do this show at the time that I do it is it's after my kid goes to bed. And it's the first free moment in my day that I'm like, I don't have to worry about getting somewhere. I just come in here. And we're about to hit summer, so this probably won't be his bedtime anymore. So we'll see how that goes. But it's like it's just so much easier to do things online when you have kids or when you have other commitments and things that you have to do. It's so much easier to do things online and to communicate with things online as well.
100%.
Do you think that there are certain game genres that are better for forming these real friendships or deepening connections?
Yeah. I'd say probably Call of Duty, not great. League of Legends, also probably not great. But I'm not gonna yuck anyone's yum. There's certainly like, time and places for that. But even looking at the co-op games, right? Like Portal 2, um, uh, It Takes Two. We were here. Those take quite a bit of communication about
Mm.
the game, right? Or concentration in terms of like getting through the different levels and stuff. And so I think for a lot of neurodivergent folks, those games are going to be a little bit more difficult to have those conversations while playing, which is why I like games like Palia, right, where you might just more run around, and you can sort of absent-mindedly, chop trees or whatever you would like to do, or even just explore the world together. So I think it really depends on like the type of hang that you were looking to do. If you're really looking to have sort of this like deeper getting to know you conversation, picking a game that's a little bit less of that mental bandwidth. But certainly if you're like, hey, I just want to play a co-op game with someone and have some really light conversation, by all means, pick whatever game that, appeals to both of you.
Yeah. It so my ex and I had many issues. But one of the things that my therapist at one point recommended was playing certain games together because it was working on communication, which wasn't our real problem, and that therapist wasn't the best therapist. But uh, ultimately, we tried to play them together, and he didn't want to give them the time of day. I wish I could remember the names of them because they're actually good games. One of them's the one where you walk around and um, one of them's the one you walk around and you're trying to cook stuff. I don't remember the name of that one. And then there's um
Over.
maybe that sounds right. That sounds good. That sounds like the one. And then the other one was the one where you're trying to defuse a bomb. I don't remember the name of that one either. I probably have them in my Steam library. I can look them up later, but Anyway, they were both kind of that, okay, we're gonna sit down and we're gonna try to do this. And he didn't want to give it the time of day. And I'm like, I think that says something. I think that says something about where we are right now. And this was not even the beginning of the end. This was already after the beginning of the end. But yeah, it can be. Keep talking and no one explodes. Yes. Thank you. That's the one. Chat's got me. Great. Thank you. Good job, guys. So it's for sure one of those things that if you can get someone who you are connecting with in a game, that's wonderful. Gaming is not for everyone, though. So it might not be the genre. Like, it might just be that person in particular doesn't want to game or doesn't want to game with you. That's another side of it. But yeah, I think that there are certain games and certain things that can support that a little bit better than others. Call of
Very
Duty is
sweet.
not one.
Yeah, no. It's also very sweet to be playing, a game. What were you playing? Portal. We were playing Portal 2. It was a very patient goblin, because I got put on what a side that I hadn't usually been put on, and I felt so bad because I could not get the timing correct on one of the phases, and so we had to do it, like, 15 plus
Oh
times.
no.
And I was like, I felt so bad, like, I'm getting sweaty just thinking about it, and I was like, "I am so sorry, like, if I could switch with you right now, like, I would, because I know for you, this must be so frustrating," and that you're like, "Just catch the ball," and I'm like, "I can't do the portals and then catch the ball, it's moving too quick," but seeing the ways in which a lot of the goblins are like, "It's okay, we'll do this as many times as you need, you got this," like, offering helpful suggestions, is such a good indication of
Yeah.
someone's character as opposed to someone being like, you suck. Like, have you never played this game before? And I'm like, not that much. So I think it's a really good indication of someone's character as well when things aren't going super well.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a great point. That's a great point, and definitely directly reflects my experience as well. Although anyone who plays games with me does know they have to be super patient because I can figure it out eventually, but I get distracted so easily. So it's like, where'd she go? She's supposed to be doing this, and it's like, oh no, she's something shiny. There was glitter.
Oh, as someone that struggled to play Gorilla Tag because I was holding on to, like, a butterfly for half of it, like, I totally get you on that. I was, like, running around with one gorilla foot, because I wanted to hold the butterfly.
Yes, yes, fair. I would also want to hold the butterfly. It's okay. How does voice chatting while you're gaming create more authentic connections than text or even just social media?
Yeah, so I think a lot of goblins, I mean, one, you can say a whole lot more, just in terms of speed, but also I think a lot of neurodivergent folks, struggle with nuance. And that can be everything from, hey, I don't know if that text was sarcastic
Mm,
or, how to interpret that text. And myself, I consider myself a very good communicator, right? I worked in PR. Writing is my jam. But even myself, sometimes, there have been moments where I will read a message and I will interpret it completely different. Like in this one case, it was a message that was extremely kind, but it ended with "take care of yourself." And the way I read it was like, "Take care of yourself, see you never." Um, but the way the person meant it was take care of yourself. Like
mhm.
literally just like a very literal, you should probably go take a nap or drink some water. Um, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know what I did." And then fortunately, there were enough, like, context clues where when my nervous system, like, came back down to planet Earth, I was like, "Wait, I think I misinterpreted that," and was
Mm,
able to, like, reread it. You don't get that in voice, right? So being able to be like, "What did you," and sometimes there will be awkward moments, but you can be like, "What did you mean by that?" Right? Or, I think we might have a miscommunication here,
mhm.
right? And sort of being able to talk back and forth, and I think, like, also a lot of neurodivergent folks are anxious avoidant or just anxious. And so sometimes messaging, gets stressful because, like, on the other side, people are ADHD and will just forget that Discord exists, right? And will go outside and forget to reply to messages. And then, object permanence, maybe forget to reply for several days. And then the other person on the other side is like, what happened? What did I do?
Mhm.
But that doesn't happen in voice because it is so real time.
Yeah. The real-time piece is really key. And you can still misinterpret what someone says over voice, but it is much easier to be like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah,
Than to try to type out a, "What did you mean by that?" And then you erase, "What did you mean by that?" Because 'Cause you're like, "Wait, what if it's super clear and I'm not understanding?" And, like, it's very easy in voice to just clarify things really quickly. It's also easy in voice to call someone out and be like, "Oh, that wasn't very nice," you know, instead of via text where it's like, "What did you mean by that? That doesn't sound very nice." Because then you're having to write. It's more effort to write it than it is to just say it. So,
100%. And a lot of my friends, and I have actually resorted, even our text message friends, um, have resorted to sending each other voice memos. So
mm,
it's sort of like a phone call for introverts because we don't have to be on the phone at the same time, but we can still swap
yeah,
voice notes.
yeah.
Sort of like a herald back to Marco Polo COVID times.
Mhm. Oh, my friend just brought up Marco Polo. I had lunch with her on Saturday, and she brought up Marco Polo. I didn't know it was still around. She's like, "Yeah, I
It's
still use it.
crazy.
I've got a group of it's like the soccer moms, and they use it all the time." And I was like, "I had no idea that was still around. That's pretty cool." Of course, now you can just send voice memos on your phone. You didn't really used to be able to do that, but now you can just send them, which is great.
Exactly.
I love how far technology comes so quickly.
So fast.
Oh, it really is. Are there any safety concerns though whenever you're voice chatting on your platform, and how do you handle moderation for that?
Yeah, so on that one, we are actually very careful in terms of the goblins that we allow onto the platform. We do hand approve every single goblin that signs up for the platform. We make sure that they are sharing enough about themselves, right? There's nothing like questionable on the profiles. And our community has become really, really strong on Discord. We have about 2,500 goblins on there. And we have created such a kind and caring community that we weed out the bad actors very quickly. We also have some forms set up in place so that if someone has a weird interaction with a goblin, they can quickly report it after. But because it is voice, it is easy to be like, "Hey, so I'm actually not feeling it. I'm gonna hang
Yeah.
up." And we do encourage goblins to just not continue a conversation if something happens like that. But we've been fortunate enough where for the most part, conversations have gone extremely well. We do have a number of very cool connections that have been made by goblins, and I think that was the next question, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, so the next thing I was really going to ask was kind of like what kinds of communities are forming and what kinds of people are showing up also on the platform.
Yes. So I would say definitely the people who are sort of finding the goblin's beacon are all incredibly kind, intelligent, humans. We all are a little bit neurodivergent, right? There are different levels of that. We also have folks that are socially awkward, right?
Mhm.
In terms of they're just like, it's hard for me to socialize, but I'm putting myself out there in the server and seeing what happens. And the reception to that is so incredible because the goblins are quick to be like, welcome. You can be as extroverted or as introverted as you would like in this community. And however you want to show up, we've got you. We also have like a selfies channel, right? We have a glow up channel. We've had a lot of goblins getting haircuts recently and showing like their before and after photos. And it's very cool to see the ways in which goblins are really just supporting each other. And I would say with confidence, it's probably one of the coolest, kindest, I wouldn't say coolest. None of us are extremely cool. But it is the kindest, sort of like most unique space on the internet. And I think because we've all embraced sort of each of our like uncool sides of ourselves, we've inherently like skipped back over and now we're quite cool. Um, but in terms of the communities that are starting, I would say uh, we've created hundreds of friendships. And we also have two D&D groups that I know of that have spun out. So we have Goblins meeting weekly and playing D&D together. I know that we have like a Monster Hunter group going. We have a Minecraft server. We have Goblin gaming sessions twice a week, and I believe typically there are anywhere from like 15 to 20 goblins that join those. And we also have two goblin couples, which has been really, really exciting. And I did want to actually call up a quote that a goblin had shared with us a couple weeks ago, just in terms of like, oh, how do you feel in terms of how Goblins is. And the quote was, um, was it? Probably on because we asked at what point did you feel a real sense of belonging in the Goblins community? And this goblin said, probably on the first day. It was like stepping into a new city where everyone, for the most part, wants the same thing and we're all kind of alike. I didn't know where to start or how to express myself, but then I found the D&D channel, and after talking to strangers like we were best friends, I realized I wasn't nervous and I hadn't been for a while. So I think that sort of sums up the goblin experience quite well, in that everyone is sort of in the same boat, right? In terms of being like, we like gaming, we're a little bit neurospicy, and we're eager to make new connections. So it's been really, really satisfying to see those connections spin up. And I know that goblins have also already met up in person. We had three goblins meeting up in New York on Monday. They met for bagels and rainbow cookies. I unfortunately wasn't able to make it, but our first goblin couple is going to be meeting together in July. So these goblin connections are happening also in real life already. So if that's happening and we have such a small community, imagine what that's going to look like when we're able to expand even further.
Yeah. I'll bet y'all are all actually really cool. You just don't even realize it. Honestly.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
No, I mean for sure. Like it's one of those things you get around people that you have something in common with, in this case gaming, and probably a whole lot more, and it's like no, you've got that connection already, and that makes it a place worth exploring at the very least. So, that's great. I like this comment. Penguin says, and we bully the good ones into drinking their water. The only kind of bullying that's allowed, right? Yes, I've been drinking mine as we go. I promise it's water and not vodka. But you can't test it, so Uh, and then totally
Judge.
totally not a blueberry says, thank you for the show. It was fun watching, but I have to go. As a side note, goblin account of bully time. How are those 150 emails you planned on doing tonight? Uh-oh.
Oh man, the goblins. I'm telling you, the goblins community is strong. We have an account of bully channel where the goblins will gently rib you if you have not gotten your work done. And I did pop into the channel today and I was like, y'all, I'm struggling on the productivity train today. Um, I need to get 125 emails out. And I can safely say I have gotten a total of 4 scheduled.
More than 0. That is a non-zero number.
Exactly. Thank you. But yeah, it's so great. And I know every single day I log on and I feel like I get to just hang out in a cafe with a bunch of cool people.
Yeah, that's great. So how did you come to the term goblins? How did you get that? How did that become what you've centered everything on?
Great question. So I initially came up with the concept because, as I alluded, my dad passed away in 2022. And I became an introvert that sort of struggled with leaving my house
Mm.
to make human connections. And at the same time, not having enough spoons to go outside and, go on dates or go to meetups. I missed human connection, right? I think a lot of people, when you lose someone, they don't know what to say, so they don't say anything at
Mm.
all, and that puts, the person in sort of this, like, very lonely space. So I was like, "Okay, well, how do I find my people and more for me, my person?" Because, for me, I know that my, like, goal in life is to find my person, and I was like, "I know for a fact that my person is using the internet." Um so how can I use the internet to find my person, but also in sort of a low pressure, low effort way? And I was like, oh my gosh, I can create a profile and say who I am, who I'm looking for. And if this sounds like someone that they might be interested in connecting with, they can put a time on my calendar and we'll meet up in like World of Warcraft, right? Going back to World of Warcraft. And then as I was building it, I was like, wait, this is more than just like a TikTok series. This is, a potential business. And then I was like, well, the name of my TikTok series was going to be like Love Gone Rogue or Love is Rogue. And so I was sitting down with my old co-founder and I was like, there has to be a better name for this. And we kept like riffing, right? Because there's like Hinge, there's Bumble, and it's all like, these very sort of like cool startup names.
Mhm.
And then I sat down with my friend and I was like, let me just talk this out for a sec. I was like, the reason why I came up with goblins is because, or the reason why I came up with this concept is because I don't want to leave my house. I don't want to look cute. I just want to date like a goblin. And we were like, ugh. And so initially the name was Date Like Goblins. But then more and more goblins signed up and started using it. And they were like, actually, we're making a ton of friends on here too. And we're like, you know what? Let's just drop the date like and go straight to goblins. So I love when people are like, I love the name or I can't stand the name. And I'm like, great, because love and hate are emotions, right?
Mhm.
And so, like, if you resonate with the concept, it doesn't matter if you love or hate the name. If you're lonely at 2 a.m., you're like, oh, what was the name of that platform? And you're going to be like, oh, Goblins, because either you loved it or hated it. But if we were named like something like, Gobby, no one's going to remember it.
Yeah.
So might as well go super polarizing. And also, Goblins means, neurodivergent folks are taking the term back, and it means being your most authentic, uh, you know, self. So we are all goblins on the platform.
That's fantastic. That's wonderful. And Penguin says skill regression after loss is heavy. And we actually just last week, our topic was grief and loss. And I highly recommend if you missed that one, you don't have to go back and listen to the whole thing if you don't want to, but go check out the page on the tacosfellapart.com website because there's a lot of resources for like unattended grief inventory and those kinds of things that are free. So highly recommend you go back and at least find here. Let me pull up that piece of the website real quick because it's really one of those things that it comes up so often, like the fact that no one teaches you how to grieve, no one teaches you how to deal with loss. We just kind of learn from experience, and that's not necessarily giving you any sort of skill. It's really just like a, oh shit, I'm going through this kind of thing. So I'm going to link the page directly to Karen Taylor's page on my website, and there's a bunch of resources there for, like I said, the unattended grief, the free grief reality checklist, hypnosis recording for integrating grief and loss, unattended grief guide. Lots of different things on there that you can go and kind of just take a look at because I think that it's really helpful for a lot of people. So since it came up, I'll put that out there.
Love that so much. And I think one thing that someone actually that I didn't even realize until someone said it 2 months ago, which would be like, over 2 years into or almost 3 years into this like, journey. She said neurodivergent people also grieve differently.
Mm,
And so I was like, "Oh my gosh, of course." So, like, a lot of the grief resources that you're reading are for neurotypical people, right? So, as you're grieving as a neurodivergent person, you also have this additional sort of layer that I think is worth digging a little bit more into for folks, just because that was something that never crossed my mind where I was like the minute she said it, I was like,
yeah.
of course," because, like, neurodivergent affects everything.
Hmm.
So of course it would also affect the grieving process. So for anyone who's also going through that, definitely, potentially worth double clicking into that as well.
Yeah. Bite Mark sent this question ahead of time. She would like to know, what is your favorite poem?
This may have been one of my favorite questions, actually. Your questions were fantastic, but
No, if
this
not
one
offended, it's fine.
so it was just so unexpected, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is a question or, like, an answer that you don't necessarily get to talk a lot about." So mine, and I will say trigger warning of, like, suicide ideation, um, is, uh, a poem that I read in high school, and I actually emailed my old high school teacher a couple months ago, and I was like, "Do you remember this poem or, like, the title of it? Because I think about it all the time." It was a poem about two, separate people, and they were heartbroken. I think they were each dealing with their own individual breakups, and, they both decided to jump off the, Golden Gate Bridge. But as they were jumping, their eyes met, in midair, and they were like, "That's my person." And I think about that all the time. So yeah, I don't, in the off chance that y'all have heard that poem, please send me the name of it because I think it's just like it's so powerful and so moving, and I think speaks a lot to just like the crazy ways in which life works sometimes. And so yeah, I would say that poem was one of my favorites.
I'm definitely going to look into that after this because I would love to know what that poem is. It sounds like something that is really powerful, and especially if it stuck with you for this long. Like that's one of the things is if you read it in high school and you still sometimes think about it and you're still like, wow, that had a big impact on me. That's powerful, and that's kind of that. It's just one of those things that it's like things that stick with you for that long are the things that are definitely worth sharing and worth remembering and spreading if you can. So I'll try to find it and see if I can't figure out what it's called.
I love that so much. Yeah, I asked ChatGPT, and ChatGPT was like, "Yeah, I can't help
Yeah,
you
I
here."
don't know. Yeah, yeah.
Like, "Meh."
I'll
But
clip this.
yeah,
I'll I'll clip this part for Bite, and she'll probably find it. She's really good.
like,
She's an excellent
that's
researcher. Very, very good at it for sure.
that's awesome. Can I ask what your favorite poem is?
Yeah, so my favorite poem, I actually usually forget who it's by. So I have a command in my chat for it. Hannah Danes. Yeah. So it's a poem by Hannah Danes and it's called Don't Kill Yourself Today. And I absolutely love it. I actually want to see if it's any longer than it used to be because she's added to it in the past. But it starts off because it starts off going, Don't kill yourself today because your Netflix free trial still has a week left. Don't kill yourself today because no one else will finish off the chicken in the fridge. Don't kill yourself today because I know for a fact Starbucks is introducing a new Frappuccino sometime next month. And it goes on to talk about, like, yes, your friends will miss you. Yes, suicide's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. But you already know all of that. And so it goes on to say, like, my favorite one in the whole poem is probably don't kill yourself because you're trying to finish your shampoo and conditioner at the same time. Because when does that ever happen? But it goes on. Oh, Tyrion, don't puke on the rug. Don't puke on the rug. Don't puke on the rug. I'm sorry, buddy. Gross, gross, gross. Well, I'll clean that up later, but he didn't puke on the rug, so that's good. Are you okay?
I did once
He's probably fine.
I did once have a foster dog throw up on my foot during a very important Zoom meeting one time, and that
Yeah,
was
yeah, it happens. It happens sometimes. And it's just one of those things that's like, well, what am I going to do? Not redirect the cat to puke on the rug and have to wash the whole rug or just take a minute and clip this part out later for the podcast.
honestly, I think that was, a great moment.
Oh,
It's very authentic.
yes, yes, for sure. For sure. Rose says, what is your favorite song about mental health? Oh, I don't know if I have a favorite song about mental health. Hmm.
Little Bug by,
Oh, that's such a good one.
I mean, that's a good one. I feel
Yes.
like it's a bit of a cop out though because it is so obvious. I will say, um, what is the song? I and my therapist, I think, was doing like cartwheels when I had this realization. But there's an oldie called for once in my life, I've got someone who needs me too. Um, I'll look up. I want to say it's like Motown. Um,
Stevie
Stevie
Wonder?
Wonder.
Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like.
Um, and I was listening to it, and I was like, I know it's about a romantic partner, but I was listening to it, and I was like, that's me. It's me that's got me. And I was like, I reached a moment in, my mental health journey where I was like, oh, this is going to become like my theme song for myself, right? Because like for the first time, like in my life, like I know that I've got my own back, right? Like I feel like I have the coping skills and all of that to sort of be my own that. Um, and my therapist was like, "Oh my gosh, like, I've never heard that." And I was like, "Yeah, it's probably one of the more single things I've ever said, but I'm actually okay with it."
Yeah, I that's great. I'll have to go back and listen to that one. But Numb Little Bug is a really good one as well. I know that I have a lot. I would have to look through my playlist is a ridiculously long playlist. I know I have some that are kind of related to mental health. There's an artist called NF. He's got a lot of songs about mental health, and some of them cross into kind of the Christianity territory. So if that bothers you, he might not be the artist for you. But a lot of his songs really are just about addiction, ADHD in particular, and depression. And so, some of his songs are really, really great. And then some of them are more on just the rap side of things. And then some of them are more on the God side of things. So it's quite the spread that he's got there. But he's a good artist in general who sings about mental health quite a bit.
Nice. I guess I would also add Noah Khan to that list.
Mm.
He has some really good he's like New England emo, but he also has some really good songs. Like Call Your Mom is really good. Orange Juice is really good. He just has some bangers. And then there's one where I think he's actually like talking to his therapist. So definitely worth checking him out if y'all haven't already gotten him on your radar.
Yeah. And then Hating Stuff by Ian McConnell is what Penguin says. And then Crochet by Rose says, Would Anyone Care by Citizen Soldier. Oh, I've listened to that one. That one's a good one. That one's a good one too. Yeah, those are great. I have a favorite song about addiction, but not so much for general mental health. That's okay. I mean, that's still addiction is still kind of a mental health thing. There's an animated series about addiction that I really, really love, and I wish I could remember what it is, but it's this little creature, and he's like a little kiwi kind of creature. Oh, Ren. Oh my gosh. Okay, Blue Collar Dad. I forgot about Hi Ren. But you know what? Oh no, that one's not really about mental health. I was gonna say the one about Victoria is the one by Ren that really just I bawl every time I hear it. Every time I hear it. And all the trigger warnings for like domestic abuse and violence and death and like all these things for that one. But Hi Ren is so good. He does that so well. And even if you watch the music video on Hi Ren, it is so well done. Toy Soldiers by Martika. Okay. All right. I haven't heard that one. I'm going to have to go back and listen. I'm going to have to go back and listen to a bunch of these. That's great.
Wait, what about Remember Blue? I'm blue, damn it.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a TikTok where it was like growing up means like realizing that I'm blue is not like about an alien. So it's like blue. And I was like, uh
Yeah. Yeah. It was such like a boppy song too. It was so much fun.
so much fun. I think there's so many songs where like you grow up and you're like listening to it in the car and you're singing along, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, that those lyrics are meant something entirely different than, what I was singing like
Yeah.
when I was a kid or when I was a teen.
You know what that just brought up in my mind though is because you said blue, and so that immediately like brought up Blue October for me. The song "Hate Me Today," that song, I feel like that one's a really good one, and also that covers kind of the grief and loss piece that we were talking about as well. But I've listened to that now as a parent, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, all right. Because as a teen, when it came out, it was very much like a angsty kind of song. But now go back and listen to it. If you haven't listened to that one in a while, go back and listen to it now as an adult. It hits quite different.
Well, into it.
Uh, what
I feel like
is
we need a playlist
Yes, yeah.
for your show, and
Yeah, for
everyone can
sure.
answer.
Listen, my playlist, I have one single playlist on Spotify. It has like 950 something songs on it. It's 52 hours long. It's an absolute ridiculous monster. And it has everything under the sun. So some of these I'm going to go through and listen to them, and some of them are going to get added to that playlist. So for sure, for sure. Oh, and we actually did. We actually did as a community. We went through and we did a 30-day music challenge where you name a different song that, like, what song makes you think of this? What song makes you think of this? And I added them all to a playlist on YouTube, and also Alpha created a Spotify playlist for those. So I'll have to go. Let me see. I'll bet I can pull up the YouTube one pretty easily because I can just go on my page and it'll be there. But if that's something that you're looking to listen to, a wild variety of music, I highly recommend just putting this on and going ham because it's not for everyone. Ah, for sure, but it's great. Sounds like the realization I had when I finally started listening to the words to Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody. Ooh, I love that song so much. It's fantastic. So, Lise, what is your favorite life hack?
Ooh, I, love, 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 shower crayons.
Oh,
Kids Yep, kids' bath crayons. I, bought a bunch, and I keep them in the shower, and so whenever I come up with shower thoughts or come up with a solution to a problem, I will literally write on the shower walls in those, crayons,
I
because
love that.
1, right? 1, you're not gonna forget,
Mhm.
and 2, it actually, like, unlocks or it, like, starts to, like, have the flow, whereas, like, if you're only washing your hair and you're like, "Oh, here's a shower thought," like, yeah, you might get, thoughts off of that thought, but once you start to write it down, you're like, "Oh my gosh, now I'm in, like, the brainstorming thinking process," and, of course, like, when you get out, especially if you've used the red crayon, it looks a little bit alarming. But it's very cool to, give friends shower crayons, and I've even given them to professional contacts. Um, they always make fun of you, or they always make fun of me when I give them to them. And then usually about like, anywhere from like 3 days to 2 weeks later, I will get a disturbing shower wall looking photo. And they're like, I'm sorry I made fun of you. This is
This was
actually
great.
brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. I love that so
It's my
much.
favorite.
That's great. I feel like, if I have shower thoughts generally and it's something I need to remember, like I'll holler at my phone to kind of try to get it. But I keep a notepad if I'm in a period of anxiety in my life about something in particular, usually work. I'll keep a notepad by my dresser or by my on my nightstand so that whenever I can't sleep and I've got a thought that's rolling around, I can just write it down real quick so that it gets it out of my head so I can move on and try to get some sleep. It doesn't always work, but generally, that's really helpful. I love the shower crayons. That's wonderful. My kids would just write on. They would just steal them and write on the walls, but maybe I can hide some for myself.
Exactly. Yeah, put them in a little shower caddy.
I'm not above it. I'm not above. I hide things from my kids all the time. It's fine.
So good.
You have to. All right. If you could wave a magic wand and eliminate one common opinion or misconception surrounding mental illness, disabilities, or talking about mental health, what would it be?
Love that you have a wand.
Yeah, Bite Mark got this for me. She was like, "You need an actual wand for this magic moment. You need an actual wand." So I got an actual wand.
So good. So mine overlaps with what we were talking about earlier, which is there's no easy way to fix mental health
Hmm.
issues. Because I think it's similar to like when a friend comes with you to a problem. The best sort of thing is like, well, do you want help coming up with a solution, or
Yeah.
do you just want me to listen and sort of hold space for your feelings? Um, I think, yeah, somehow conveying to people where wait, do you remember Hyperbole and a Half?
Sounds familiar.
Where she wrote an article, or she did a webcomic about depression. And she said depression felt like a goldfish, right? Your goldfish is dead. And what it feels like to have depression and dealing with other people is you're like, "My goldfish is dead." And they're like, "Well, have you tried feeding it?" And, like, maybe it's not dead, maybe it's just sick, and you're like, "No, my goldfish is dead." And then for some reason, I think the goldfish ends up under the fridge or something. But it's such a good representation of dealing with mental health and dealing with the stupid recommendations that you're getting that are
Mm,
just extremely tone deaf, even if well intentioned.
yeah, yeah. I love that. And it's definitely one of those things that comes up again and again, just all the time. And if everybody could just understand it, if we could wave that magic wand and everyone could just understand it, so much would be fantastic.
So much. Yeah, and I think like definitely. I mean, curious about yours.
Oh, you know what? I've done this for so long. No one has ever asked me that.
Wait, really?
Really?
The reason why I hesitated was I was like, wait, that's gonna be a dumb question because I'm
No,
sure everyone she, like, talks about it in every
no.
single episode.
No one has one single time asked me that. I would definitely wave the magic wand and I would actually put into everyone's head the experience of whatever it is they're wondering about so that they could be like, "Oh, you said you have depression. Let me pull up in my brain what that feels like so I can understand." And just get that empathy piece. I would magically transmit that to everyone's brain and just be like, "Here, understand." And just a general understanding of what it feels like because it is not a normal everyday thing that most people are going to experience. And that goes for, that's not just saying like, oh, so few people experience depression. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there are so many different things that you do not understand because you have not been through them. And if I could wave a magic wand and just be like, now you get it, that's what I would do. I wouldn't want everyone to have everything, but I want them to understand what it's like for sure.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. I recently saw a TikTok and it was a woman who she was like, "I think I've finally figured out how to describe depression and trigger warning if you're looking at like if you're someone who's like, well, my only option is unaliving myself. um she described it as you're in this really dark room, right, and like all you can see is darkness and you keep yelling, but basically you just hear this echo of your voice coming back. But there is an exit. There's an exit door, right? And there's the exit sign. And you know that you can go through that exit door. But otherwise it's just blackness, right?
Hmm.
And at some point the light comes on, and you realize that the wall has was made out of doors the whole time. And you've been surrounded by doors the whole time, but when the lights are off, you don't notice that. And I
Yeah.
think for me, yes, there's an exit door, but like it's so dang small that there's no way like I'm ever gonna fit through it. I think that's my version of it. But I thought that was incredibly well described. And, of course, I think neurotypical people are still not quite gonna get it.
Hmm.
But putting themselves in that position, at least in their brains might help to sort of explain how it feels.
Yeah. Yeah. Most definitely. Well, I love that whole. I'm so glad that you asked me that. I guess I never realized that no one has ever asked me that. But yeah,
Fascinating.
that's
Yeah,
for
because
sure.
I was like, the minute I was like, "You should ask her," and then I was like, "No, that's dumb because she
No,
must talk about it on."
I have done this. I started doing this in late 2019 and not one single time since then. So that's a first, absolute first. I love it.
Dang. Well, I guess for everyone and myself, that's a good flag that like, you might think a question is incredibly stupid. But ask it anyway
Yeah.
because maybe it's not stupid.
Yeah. And even if I had answered that question before, my answer could have changed since then. It could change moment to moment. You never know. I never know what's about to come out of my mouth. How the hell would you know what's about to come out of my mouth? And if you do,
Love that.
can you call me and tell me what's going to happen?
I love that so much because I have aphantasia, so I don't see pictures in my brain, and I also don't have an inner monologue. So my mother, when I was younger, used to think I was sassing her because she was like, "Do you not think before you talk?" And I was like,
No.
"No."
Mm-mm.
And
No.
she was like, "Sass." So brains are crazy.
Brains are wild. Brains are absolutely wild. Yes.
I feel like with your wand too, the Disney Channel thing, that should be your outro.
Yeah. So I used to call it like the Disney magic moment. Then I got worried that they were going to say, like, hey, stop using that term. Because they don't fuck around. Like, they are seriously hardcore on their copyright stuff. But yeah, I would love something like that. I think it'd be really cool. However, it might be a little misleading because then people would think that it was like Disney safe, and that is not the case at all.
No,
Mm-mm.
very much
Not
not.
here.
It would be like Disney After Dark.
Yes. Maybe it's a bright screen with like a super black Disney logo happening or something. It like rips into the void when it draws itself.
Obsessed.
Oh, that'd be great. Well, we are kind of to the end of the questions here. So, folks who are here with us, if you have any other questions that you want to ask, please feel free to pop those into the chat. I am going to post your socials one more time so folks can connect with you if they need to. And I'll just open it up while I'm doing that to you. Anything we didn't talk about, any resources you want to throw out there, I'll just give you the floor. Talk about what you got coming up.
Amazing. Um, well, nothing is coming to mind, so I will tell you the one joke that is currently in my brain. Um, how do you get a million Pikachu onto a school bus?
How do you get a million Pikachu onto a school bus? I don't know.
You Pokemon.
I am going to tell my 11-year-old that joke tomorrow, and he is going to flip his lid. Oh, I love that. He might actually get it. Like, he might actually get it right away. I could see him getting that one. That's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I also feel like I'm gonna get my publicist card taken away because it was like, you had your opportunity to plug whatever you wanted and you told a Pokemon joke.
No,
Very
that's
on
the
brand.
best. That's do not change one single thing about that. I love that so much. My absolute love is just for puns and jokes, and it's fantastic. My dad called me the other day and said, "Is your son around?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I've got a joke to tell him." And so I took the phone over to him, and then I got back on the phone after he was done, and he was like, "That's all. Bye." And we hung up, and my oldest was like, "Did Pappy just call you only to tell a joke?" And I was like, "Hell yeah."
Love the commitment on that one.
Yes.
Deeply, deeply respect.
Yes, most definitely. Well, thank
Do
you.
you know
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, do you know when a joke becomes a dad joke?
When it becomes a parent. Ha ha. I have people send me jokes all the time. Like, people send them on Facebook. They send me weird decorations that they see, especially if they're related to skeletons or anything glittery. Like, but puns and jokes are one of the things that people send me all the time. And I love it. If there's ever a joke or a pun that you're like, this is too awful to share with anyone, share it with me.
Love that so much. I will say, if folks resonated with this combo, definitely check out the Goblins Discord as well, because we are a very kind, weird little bunch, and we are always looking for more goblins. So hope to see you on there.
Awesome. I don't have a direct link to your Discord, but I will get it before I publish your page on my website. And then that way, whenever I do, it'll be on there. But if y'all are looking to join the Even Tacos Fall Apart Discord, I do have a link handy for that one, because that's ours. And if you enjoyed this conversation, you probably enjoy it there too. So I'll throw that one out there, and I will get a link to yours, and I will share it for sure. And I'll probably join. I'll probably pop in there.
I was gonna say, I'm definitely joining yours.
Yes.
So
Please do.
This will be a fun little cross hanging.
Yes, scissors or skizzers. If you have a link to the Discord, please post it. Absolutely, yes, please. You should be able to do that. Also, it won't kick you or anything. Thank you. Perfect. Okay, awesome. I'm going to join that. But I can't click on it right now because this'll go away. So I'll do it in
And,
a minute.
I'm looking forward to joining yours.
Yes.
So I think it'll be a really fun to just be able to like stay tuned on all of the things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Thank you for being a part of this conversation. And Lise, thank you especially for taking the time out of your day to share Goblins with us and just to talk through a lot of this. I had an absolute blast.
My gosh, this was seriously so fun. And you said you were like, oh yeah, people look down at the clock and they're like, what?
Yep.
Literally just did that. So, like, thank you for being such a thoughtful host. Truly such good questions, and really also forgot that there were people watching this. So thank you, because I am very much not a good public speaker. So this is making it comfy.
I'm glad that it was a comfortable experience because that is something that really means a lot to me, that we can just have this conversation and you're like, the pressure's off. That means a whole hell of a lot. So yeah, thank you. All right,
Of course.
y'all.
Well, as we say, peace, love, goblins.
I love that. That's so cute. Perfect ending. Would not change a thing. Y'all, I am going to disconnect with Lise offline and I will be right back. Don't go anywhere. Stick around. That wraps up my conversation with Lise. I loved how open and honest she was about being neurospicy and how gaming has been such a steady source of connection in her life. What stood out to me is how she reframed online friendships as not less than, but just as real as those we build face to face. If you've ever felt like your strongest support system lives in your headset instead of your neighborhood, you are not alone. The truth is, many of us are wired in ways that don't fit into the boxes society expects. Finding community in games or online spaces doesn't mean you're hiding from the real world. It means you've found a place where your energy, attention, and creativity are welcome instead of drained. That's something we can all carry into everyday life. We get to choose where our energy goes, who to give our time to, and what spaces make us feel safe enough to show up fully as ourselves. So if you're listening today and you've been questioning whether your connections matter, take this as your reminder that they do. Whether it's your gaming squad, your Discord server, or the friend you message memes to at 2 a.m., those relationships are part of your real life. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a second to like, subscribe, or leave a comment or review wherever you're listening right now. It helps more people find the show, and it lets me keep bringing these raw and real conversations to you. Share it with a friend who might need to hear it, especially if you know someone who's been navigating life as a neurospicy human or who finds their community online. Until we talk again, remember that it's okay if life feels a little scattered. Healing isn't about being perfect. It's about finding support, connection, and the courage to keep going. Even tacos fall apart, and they are still worth savoring. Catch you next time.